All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. This webinar is on the ENFOS activity module. Before we begin, this time for ENFOS, we are using a different program. We're using Zoom. And so if you've attended ENFOS's webinars in the past, this one will be slightly different. We have a Q&A tab here. And, I believe most of you are familiar with using Zoom. But if there are any questions or anything, please send them that over. And, we always welcome feedback as well. All right, I am Torrie Behrens. I'm going to turn my video on. Hello, hi everyone, nice to see you. And I'm going to turn my video off also, so we don't have to look at me this whole webinar. But I'm going to be leading this one today on the activity module. And I'm joined with Tara Cusio, who is going to be helping us out with our questions and answers a little later today. Today, we're going to be talking about the activity module. I love this module in ENFOS, and it's always been there, but we see it has varied use, right? Some of our clients use it really well, and others don't use it as much. And I think it's a great way to provide value by using more of these modules that are already in your ENFOS system and that are available. So that's why we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about some functionality, some use cases, recurring events. We're going to talk about ease of use. We always try to give you some great tips and make the module easier to use. And then we're going to finish up with, alerts, reporting, viewing bulk actions, etc. Today, we're going to have a shortened webinar. So let's get going. Most importantly, we want to talk about some use cases. And some of these are even real types from our clients. This is how some of our clients are using our activity module to track and manage other items. This includes recurring events, overdue events. We can track the contacts in here as well. Activities, they can be created at any level in the hierarchy. And in here, we have some different examples, and many of these are familiar to you. Things like field events, reporting, any type of renewals, including things like permits, as well as vendor contracts. We even see clients managing their PTO, their paid time off, in our ENFOS activity calendar, because it's a great way for them to put an activity or an event in the calendar, and then it is viewable by various users. What's great about these use cases is these could be set up as various activity types, and that's unique by client. So, one of our clients might have a use case for specifically tank activities, where another client might not have that one, and maybe they have inspections. And of course, the list goes on and on. This is just some examples of some of the use cases. As we go into the demo today, we're going to be looking at some of these specific items. Now, I do want to take a moment to talk about the items at the bottom 4. And these items are linked activities. That means from different modules or submodules in ENFOS, we can link directly to the activity calendar. And what it does is it redirects you, but it allows you to create an event directly from these pages. And many of you are probably familiar with the bottom 3, but proposal activities, this is a new one from ENFOS. It's only been around for a few quarters. So I really like that one, and it's a way to add a proposal event straight from the proposal module. All right, so we're going to hop into ENFOS. We're going to do a live demo of the activity module. This is a preview of our calendar. I took the screenshot earlier this week, so it's going to be very similar today. So let's get logged into ENFOS. As always, we are using a ENFOS site, and we're looking at fully fictitious data. Activities can be created at any level in the hierarchy that you have access to. I'm going to be at the site level today. We're under the site module, and The submodule below is called activities. Of course, ENFOS is always checking two things before we can display what's on the screen. The first, do you have access to this branch in the hierarchy? And then also, what can you do there? And can you access this activity module? That access, of course, is controlled by the user permission group you are assigned to. So if you're following along today and you don't see the activity calendar, that's associated with your user permissions, and you'll have to contact your admin. All right, so if I minimize my section when I go to the page, we've got the calendar on top and the planner at the bottom. And, I want to start with easy, because this activity calendar, it's really designed very similar to any other calendar you're using in any application. And there's not too much required for minimum activity creation. So if I wanted to create an event on Friday, I can click on that day on my calendar. I click to add an activity. And my required fields are the fields with the asterisk. I need to give my activity a name. And most of my other fields are actually pre-populated. You can see my status is pre-populated with new. My activity target date pulls from the date I selected in the calendar. And that's it. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and I am going to click save. Done. All I did was type in a name and my activity was created. It's very, very simple to add in a single event. Not much detail is required. Of course, you saw while I was sharing my screen that there's a lot of additional fields, and we're going to talk through those fields and what the options are there. I'm going to actually go in and edit this existing event. So I'm going to click to edit, and we're going to talk through some of these other fields. First one is the type. And when we started today, we talked about use cases. This is where we see a lot of those specific use cases. This type valid value dropdown list is unique by each client. So my admins, you can have any valid value in here that you want, and you might have some overlap, of course, but this is great for a type of activity, and it really can guide your user as to what is expected to be added. We've got a description comment box. Our status, as we noted, it is defaulted to new, but you can toggle it. Our activities will automatically go overdue and turn red on the calendar once the activity date is reached. And that's only if your activity has not been moved into the completed status. If you do have an activity and maybe it's already done and you're recording it, or it's one that was existing and you want to complete it, you can set that status to complete. If you do set your activity to complete, you are required to enter in that completed date. All right, the permit number, this is really used for the linked activity through your compliance permit tracking. So that can be, if you do have a permit in the compliance module, it links exactly with that permit number. So that one's really cool on how it links together information from our compliance module to this calendar. Next, we have 3 different sections, and we're going to go through each of these sections and talk a bit more on them. We've got recurrence, reminders, and other. Okay, so the recurrence, this is how you can set up an activity to be reoccurring. This might be something like quarterly reporting or an annual permit renewal. You use the toggle to set the recurrence to yes, and then you can choose through any of the 3 options to set your frequency. There really are, between the 3, you can really set just about any date you want and any type of recurrence. I will give you a tip though, the recurrence start date. So as I scroll down a little more here, the recurrence start date, this is a really great way to really get a specific day. So if you set your recurrent start date as maybe, the last Wednesday, that's how you can really define kind of what day you're going to start, right? Or how you're going to use that. So using that recurrent start date is a great way to set your date. The end dates are important. So if you have no end date, this activity is going to be created and recurring forever. But if you set in an end date, obviously that will go in there. I always suggest making sure to enter an end date because otherwise your activity will go on. But that's, up to you. We do have our start time and end time, and that is in the 24-hour calendar. These are going to default to 12 a.m., but you can set any time of the day. That makes sense. Maybe I'll set this one at 9. And then we've also got the duration, right? So if you want to do multi-day events, you would use the duration for how long that needs to be. All right. So lots of functionality within the recurring. The recurring is also great because it saves you time in the future. You're not creating a quarterly reporting every quarter. You just create it once and it appears on your calendar many times. All right, reminders. Now, these reminders work with your user preferences. And I have a whole separate webinar on your user preferences. Those are under the preferences submodule. And I'll show those. I can show the checkbox here. There is a checkbox that says an activity alert. So make sure that is checked for your activity reminders. Let's scroll back to where we're anchored here. All right, so the reminders. This is where you can say when you want your activity reminder to happen. So maybe I want my event to happen one day, my reminder to happen one day before my activity date. I can also set a regulatory target date. And this is a way for me to set a second reminder. So if I set a regulatory target date, I can also set a reminder specific to that date. So, maybe I want 2 reminders. Maybe I want one a week before my event, and then I want another one day before my event. So you can use those 2 options to set reminders. You're also going to get some automatic reminders based off of the preferences you have set. For example, if you have an activity and it moves to completed status, the other contacts, they can receive a notification about that. I do have one tip here. And in the duration, we have days, weeks, and minutes. And I've got to tell you, minutes don't work well yet. And this is because the alerts go out in email. And it's hard to get through ENFOS's email sender as well as your own company's email to get to that exact minute, right? To get 1 minute before your event. So I would suggest not using minutes for your reminders at this time and stick with either days or weeks. Now, these do send out a single email alert per activity. So if you do have a lot of events coming up, you're going to get a lot of emails from ENFOS. We have heard feedback about getting bulk notifications of many events, but that's not available for our activity module just yet. All right, so those are your email alerts. We're going to scroll down to the other, and just as it suggests, this is a way to add in a few various other items. We have the vendor. Now, we of course check that the user has access to this node and can open the activity module. But the vendor field does not control access. And for our clients that are using finance, especially the purchase orders and the proposals, they know that the vendor can control access, based off of that vendor company. That is not the case here. This is really just a label where I can say this is the vendor company working on this event. So vendor information only. I do want to add another note here. We do have an activity admin user permission. So my admins, you most likely already have this. And as we look into these next few fields, we're talking about the access to this specific activity. My activity admins always have access to all activities, right? It's a high-level admin permission. But the next two fields can be viewed by and can be edited by. This allows you to set the permissions on this activity. So for both, public means anyone who has access to this site and the activity module can see them. Private is only the people listed in this contact box here can view it or can edit it. So this private really allows you to set the user permissions for this specific activity. And then for editing, we do have private for the creator only, and this allows only the creator to edit the activity. ENFOS defaults that creator to you. It does not have a way to change it. And of course, a comment box. And as I mentioned, we do have that activity admin user permission. So if you do set this up incorrectly, that activity admin can overwrite these access controls and can see all activities. But this can be viewed by, can be edited by, really important, especially if you want to be creating private events within ENFOS. All right, so how do you define those contacts? That's, of course, in this contact box. It works just like all of our other contact boxes. And we can add in our people or delete them, just as we do anywhere else. With activity module, we have a document, right? A document section. Again, this works just like the documents anywhere else in ENFOS. I came back in and I edited my activity, so I see documents on this page. If you're creating a new activity, you might actually have a save and next button instead of just save on the page. That'll take you to the document section. So either way, you can get over to the documents. I'm going to click save to save the changes that I made. And I see my activity on the calendar for the 8th of December. I'm going to talk about this calendar for a moment. Activities that are in the past that are overdue are shown in red on your activity calendar. And I can click on that and I can see that this event is overdue. I can edit this event to change that status, right? I can change that to completed. And again, it's defaulting my day, but I can update that completed date and then go ahead and click save. That automatically updates that event. It's no longer in red. And you can see that it's crossed out. It shows me that that event has been completed. ENFOS, of course, saves all this information. So I can go back and look at any of those activities in the past and look at the details and, maybe add in more information. All right. The next item we see our future events, including a multi-day event. And our calendar, shows us all of the months. I can toggle between day, week, and month. We do know that this view is, showing us the whole month. So sometimes if there are multiple events on the same day, it's better to view it in the day or the week. Now I'm looking at the month view, and I can scroll down and look at my activity planner. And this is that same information, but it displays it in a table. Of course, I've got some bulk actions here. I can delete in bulk. I can still edit that information from my action list, but I have another option here, which I really like, which is the copy. Copy allows me to take these details and create a new activity. So it's a really great way to save some clicks and make it a little easier on yourself. All right, I want to talk about two more features on this page. One is this include public activities. So by default, the table is going to show you at this, what I'm listed as a contact for. If I click include public activities, my list gets a little longer, and I can also view all that information on the map, on the calendar up here. So when I included public activities, I can see other activities that other people created that were listed as a public activity. So I can see this location inspection that Tara created. And, maybe I can edit that if my permissions allow it, or maybe I can view more information. I'm still looking at the information here at River Road, but at the top of my page, I've got this really cool view at checkbox. And I really like this. And in ENFOS, we have a few pages that you can kind of roll up the information. And this activity calendar is one of those roll-up pages. So what this allows me to do, instead of viewing the information specific to River Road, I can roll up. Maybe I want to view all of ENFOS. And it's showing me the public activities that I have access to in the month of December. So I've got a lot more on my calendar. And you can imagine if you're using it a lot, there might be a lot of activities. So this is giving me a great roll-up view of all the activities that I have access to for this month. So we're really kind of getting into some reporting. We are viewing multiple activities on our calendar. We can view additional information. If it's a recurring activity, we are going to see some options about editing the series versus editing the event, right? So it allows you to change your edits based off of that. We also have an export, and this export allows you to download the activity in the Outlook format. So then you can save it to your Outlook calendar and have that on your personal Outlook calendar as well. All right, let's talk a little bit more on reporting. In my left panel, my third little tab here is my activities. And no matter where you are in ENFOS, if I'm on my report page, I can go to my activities tab and I can see the days in green where I have activities. And I can click on that day and I can view that activity for the day or activities, of course. And then I can click on that link, and that's going to give me that extra information, including options to make edits to that page. So I have the activity dates on my calendar. And again, it makes it really simple to know what's going on and to edit those activities from any page you're at in ENFOS. All right, we've got one really great report for the activity module. It's under miscellaneous. By default, it's called activity, but we know, of course, our clients can rename this report. I think most of them keep it as activity. And I will say this report has really great report criteria associated with it. So if you are running the activity report, be sure to use the report criteria. It allows you to filter the data down and really gives you much more of what you're looking for. There's a lot of columns in the activity report because we can store a lot of data with that activity. So be sure to use the criteria as well as the customization to get what you want. All right, I'm going to come back over to our activity calendar, and we do have this download. Just wanted to remind everyone again that exports to the Outlook attachment. By default, we're searching the current month, but you could toggle this over to all, and it's going to change your view again, as well as the public activities and completed activities. And then we also have the search, right? In-screen searching for your activity planner to allow you to search, the data, any of the activities, because we know you might have a lot over time. All right, I'm going to go over and I want to show an example of one of the linked proposals, the linked activities through the proposal screen. So remember, we're all looking at fictitious data here. None of this information's real. I'm going to navigate down to the project, and I'm going to take an existing proposal that I had created for this. You can see we have a new section in our proposal summaries page here. It's called Activity Planner. And you can see I already have one activity planner that I've loaded, an activity here already related to this proposal. And I'm going to add another one in. So I'm just going to click Add. What this does is it actually moves me over to the activity module. And you can see my site activities is highlighted, and I'm no longer in finance proposal. So all of our linked activities, that's what it does. It kind of moves you over to create an activity to do this linked activity. So I'm going to call this, invoicing due. And, I can select one of my types from my drop-down menu. We'll call that a report deliverable. I can select my status, description, of course. I could enter in completion percentage. You can see I've got this linked field for the proposal. So ENFOS is automatically copying over that unique proposal ID to this activity as an information. And, above we can see that for permits. So that would be related to permits. And some of our other linked activity examples were the sample event planning, as well as the compliance audits. We talked about all these other fields, right? The recurring fields, the email alerts, some of these optional other fields, which allow us to set the user permissions. Save is going to just save it. Save and next takes me to the documents. Save and return brings me back to the proposal module, right? So that's a little different. And then of course, cancels my work. I'm just going to save it. I do get brought back to my proposal. And now when I go to my activity planner, you can see I've got two activities related to this proposal. So it's really cool, a way that adds functionality not only in the activity module, but also in the proposal module or those other examples that I had provided. All right, before we open it up to questions, I did want to show an example of an email alert for the activity calendar. So let's go back over to the PowerPoint. And we're going to make that a little larger. All right, great. So we've got an email alert example. I've got this, it came to my email. It tells me the name of the activity, the node path, the date for that activity, and I've got that link, right? And we all know in the ENFOS email alerts, if I'm already logged in to ENFOS, it's going to take me directly to that activity. And if I'm not logged into ENFOS, it's going to prompt me to first log in before it takes me to that activity. So this is one example of an activity alert. And we have a few different types, of course, but they're going to be similar to this. All right, so that covers our content. We went fast today through the activity module, and we purposely left a good chunk of time for questions and answers. And I have to say thank you to the registration, the people who registered for this, who sent over some questions in advance. We summarized those. Sometimes these are not word for word because we had received some of them from multiple people. It was the same question. I'm going to start by going through these 7 and talk through the answers. And then Tara, you're going to chime in if we have any other questions that have come in from the user group on the call today. We'll talk through those. If you haven't submitted a question yet and you want to, be sure to use that Q&A box on your Zoom bar. All right, question 1, access to the activity module. This is all controlled by user preference, or excuse me, by user permissions. This is controlled by user permissions. So if you do not see the activity module at all under site module in ENFOS, ask your ENFOS administrator, because it could be that your access is blocked. If you're looking for a specific activity that you're not seeing, that maybe your coworker created, be sure to use that checkbox for the include public activities. And then finally, if you don't see the include public activity on there, ask your coworker. They might have limited access. They might have set it to only viewable by the contacts. They might not have added you as a contact. The admins also probably have that activity admin permission, so they can help troubleshoot that as well. Here's the activities private. Can activities be private, and can vendors see each other's activities? So activities can be private if they're set up that way in the setup with the contacts, and can be viewed by only contacts. So that's how you would set it up to be private. That includes if you only have yourself, you're the only one who can see that. As I mentioned, those activity admins can see them always. So just keep that in mind, that the administrators would be able to see the activity. Can vendors see each other's activities? They might be able to, yes. If you have two vendors working at that same node and an activity was created and it can be viewed by anyone, or it's a public activity, then yes, they would be able to see each other's activities. It's really all about those contacts and who is set up to view that information based off of how that activity was set up. So be sure, especially if you think it's something private or semi-private, that it's really set up correctly, and test through that before you kind of go on and adding everything. All right, how do we update contacts if a site changes project managers or really any of the contacts? All right, so when we were in the activity module, we can edit any of those open activities and change the contacts, right? Those contacts can be updated by deleting or adding new. We can also use an import file to update those. That can be done, and the activity module, of course, has an import and an export. The import has the activity ID, which really is uniquely identifying that activity within ENFOS. So that's a key field. If you do have to update contacts in bulk for open activities, contact the ENFOS support team and we can help you test that out and get a plan to make sure it's updated correctly. All right, activity types. This really goes back to those use cases where we started today. And if you do have some new use cases, let me go back to that screen. There we are. After you're looking at this list, if you do have some new use cases that you want to add to that activity type, that activity type drop-down menu is unique by client. So you can add as many as you want. You can remove the ones that are there. It's up to our clients to manage that list. That's something your ENFOS administrator can edit and change, right? So it's not anything the end users can change, but the admins can. And we are talking about that drop-down menu, but of course there are other fields there in the activity creation, which allow you to really set the, any other additional details. All right, let's go back to our questions. Are activities available in BI for custom reports and dashboards? Yes, they are. And I think this is a great use case, a great way to use this information with all of the other data that you might be using in BI for your custom reports and dashboards. If you have more questions about that, let us know. We're always happy to talk about that. Can we modify what information fields are included in an activity? No, we cannot yet. So the fields that I showed today, those are the available fields for the activity module. We do have a document section. We do know in ENFOS and some other pages, there are additional information, which allows our clients to set custom fields on different modules and pages in ENFOS that is not available yet in the activity module. So it's something that we're looking to for the future, but it's not here yet. Keep telling us though, we want to hear this. If you see that there should be additional fields that you want to track and manage, let our team know, and that can help us it really can help us prioritize with our team and our ENFOS roadmap. And, I definitely see a use case for that. Last question I have on my list, are activities available in the ENFOS mobile app yet? No, they are not available in the mobile app yet. Coming soon, another item coming soon here. If you are interested in learning more on the ENFOS mobile app, we do have a webinar recording on that mobile app, but not including activities yet. All right, I am going to have Tara chime in and give us an update on if there's any other questions that we need to chat through with any of the participants from the webinar.
Yeah, hey, Torrie. We have 2 new questions that have come through. The first is, can you link activities through purchase orders?
All right, right now the answer is no. That's right now it's only through the proposal page.
And our second question is, can you use the global contact replace tool for activities?
All right, that's a good one. Tara, do you know the answer to that one? That one might have A+ to whoever asked that one, because I am stumped on that one without checking.
I checked it this morning, and currently the answer is no. We do not have a tool to update contacts in bulk on our activities, but it's a good note that I'm going to write down.
Great. All right, excellent. Well, I am going to wrap this webinar up. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I hope you've learned something from the activity module. I hope you see use and value in it, because I know at ENFOS we do, and we see some of our clients using it very, very well. So thank you for your time today. Any other additional questions, please send them over to the group. And as always, you will receive a recording of this webinar after today. So thanks, everyone. Have a good day.